After meeting all my clients, we had internal discussions with them. I see that market is moving to working with direct publishers in order to avoid working with intermediaries. And for me, it's obvious that we should focus on finding developers to help them adjust their content, to find demand partners to monetize it. So that's one point. On the other hand, it's obvious that first-party data is also becomes very, very important. So on the advertiser side, you should also make as much as you can to find an advertiser, to provide him what he wants, to provide him a good service, so we could survive in this industry. So that's the main change. The intermediaries will, I guess, they will not exist. In order to avoid being fault, and this being intermediary, you should talk to your advertiser as much as you can to understand what he needs, what he expects from you, which tool does he use to, for example, to indicate fraud or measure viewability, etc. And then you should find the right supplier that is able to add your ads.txt lines, for instance, so you could pass this supply, so you can show your supply chain, so the advertiser could know that this inventory is legit, that even if you are an intermediary, you still have advantages for working with you. For example, you might have some exclusive presence across some SSPs. And this particular buyer might be small to work with this SSP directly because he doesn't have this budget, this power to fill all these inventories. And here is your mission as an intermediary, so you can come and you can give him this small volume. For example, this is one of examples. For example, our main format is CTV. It's pretty much fraudulent overall. However, there are lots of instruments to avoid facing this problem. You can manually check the publishers that you integrate if you are an SSP. You should actually use some tool to verify this fraud. There are lots of them. The very most important thing is that buyer and seller use the same anti-fraud solution, so they could be on the same page and avoid discrepancies. Because most of these tools, they use different methods, how they verify users, how they verify placements, inventories, etc. And this is crucial for buyer and seller use the same solution to be on the same page. The most interesting is that it's overall discussions, in general. We don't discuss here that many details because you have so many meetings here and it's just impossible to be all the time, that much attentive. So people discuss overall things, how things are going, what do you expect, what do we plan, how do you see a Q4, Q3, what are your plans for the next week? And in the most cases, then you will have calls to discuss details. But for me, the interesting thing was here that there are lots of agencies here, there are lots of SSPs, DSPs, and this event is much concentrated with the right participants for networking, for making business. It's very good.